So, everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the Jay and Gary Pancreatic Cancer Cast. See this guy? Wait a minute. There we go. There he is. How you doing?
Well, if they're doing a 0 to 10 level, pain level, whatever you want to call it, I'm about in the middle right now.
Where's the
About
pain?
5. It's still in the abdomen.
Okay. And you had your second infusion yesterday.
Second infusion, then they give you the little ball pump to take home in the little fanny pack thing. So I'm on that for another day, and then I go back in tomorrow, and I guess it's a white blood cell infusion thing.
Okay, so you're having, first of all, multiple infusions this week of different things, and you're continuously today anyway, being infused with something. Do you know what?
It's the cancer cocktail. They just give you I guess it's a tapering off. I don't know exactly. Something like that.
Okay, and so they don't have to pour it all in one day.
No, they did the main cocktail and then an anti-nausea and hydration yesterday. Then I go back in. I think it's tomorrow. Get the last infusion of stuff for, I guess it's a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it seems to be on like a 2-week schedule because your last one was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When I was there, and it hurt every mile I drove away. Broke my heart a little bit.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. It just, I've never felt like that in my life. I've never had that kind of connection to someone I was driving away from.
That's what we're trying to do with this whole podcast thing to begin with. And so I guess it's working.
Yeah.
Not for the reason we wanted, but it's working.
Yeah.
But today I'm sitting out on the deck because it feels good out here. It's probably, 80 degrees right now. And I'm in a long sleeve shirt and sweatpants. Feeling pretty good. The night was basically a cycle of, it was about a 2-hour cycle of barfing, falling asleep, waking up, trying to get the energy to get up and barf again and go back to sleep, wake up, do that, rinse, repeat about 4 times. So I think I've learned 2 things. Listen to my wife about what I should eat, because after going through the chemo and everything, I was really hungry and I was dreaming about an Italian beef sandwich. So we went and had one and I ended up barfing it all up in episodes. So that wasn't a good idea.
Well, that was a change from where you had been before, where you just didn't want to eat anything.
Right.
So you wanted to eat maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah, that was different. So.
Yeah. Rolling back in time a little bit, because at the end of the previous episode, it was the day after you had the infusion. And as we left it, we were back at the clinic. Because you hadn't been eating or drinking very much, they were giving you a liter of saline just to get you hydrated again.
Yeah, and I think I'll get that again tomorrow too. I've made a habit of going in once a week to get that, whether I think I need it or not.
After that day, after I left, you were still having a couple of rough days and nights. You were actually in the hospital. Yeah, I ended up
back in the hospital, yeah. But I don't think that's going to happen now. It's not as bad as last time. I'll just put it that way. It's not great, but it's not as bad as last time.
So we're kind of stabilizing.
Yeah, I think so.
We're not stable yet, but we're...
Yeah. And I think after this, I'm going to have the energy to do a little walking. So that'll be good.
We don't know at this point what the effects of the most recent infusion, the one yesterday, are going to be. My experience was all I wanted to do was lie on the couch and sleep. And that went on for about...
I've been doing that. It felt good to get up, and all I really had to do was get off the deck and walk inside and get the computer, and that took about 20 minutes of wind up. And then I threw the pitch and got the computer out here. I didn't have the energy to go upstairs into the studio and hook all that up, so I just brought it out here.
Well, it looks great, and it sounds good. So
good.
We're glad to have you back on here.
Technology is great. Yeah. You don't need all that stuff to build a radio station or a podcast anymore.
Not anymore. Texting with you, you said the last 3 days before this infusion were pretty good.
They were pretty good. I got some outdoor work done. I had some friends over.
You got outdoor work done?
Yeah, I dug another layer off where I'm going to put the swing set. And then I bundled up after the wind blew all the swing set wood apart, picked up some limbs that the wind had blown down. And I think this afternoon I'm going to chip away at the burn pile. That's not taxing work, watching a fire. So I'll get some of that burned up and cleaned up.
That is way more energy than I was anticipating that you would have at this point.
Well, I used to be a pretty active person, and the activity at a moderate pace feels good. It makes me feel better. And if I, weaken out, I can always stop. So I did spend a day in the hospital, and then I remember the next day I was feeling a little bit better, and the doctor came in and goes, "Do you even remember that I was here yesterday?" And I'm like, "No." So I think the big thing that we've done since our last recording is I had complained to Melissa, my wife, that I felt like I was taking too many pills, being over-medicated. That all got translated as I didn't want to take my pain pills, and that's not really what it was. I just felt like having to get up every 3 hours in the night, this and that. So I talked to the palliative care, and then I talked to my oncologist, and they agreed, just take a pain pill. I'm on the pain patch that I take. And
they've reduced the size of that or the quantity of that, right? So
and then they said
they were thinking that was one of the things that was making you throw
I think
up.
so. And keep one of the others, the other pain pill, the actual pill, for an as needed or breakthrough pain basis. So it seems like adding one of those before I go to bed at night helps me sleep through the night, which is pretty good, except last night. Just when it happened, I was barfing everything up.
And that was your Italian sandwich.
Yeah, and I think that's all gone now.
Okay. So what kind of food do you think you're going to try to eat?
Well, I have been doing pretty good at eating like an egg and toast for breakfast and some applesauce and maybe another vegetable for lunch or so, and then dinner's hit and miss, maybe a little chicken or something. Had some chicken and rice that was pretty good. The taste for things kind of hits me, and then I kind of go with that. I have some friends coming over in a week. Back when I worked at WILL at University of Illinois here, we had a ritual of going out once a week to the YMCA to get their pad thai for lunch. And a few of them contacted me and asked if they could come over and what would I want help with. And, we have a lot of stuff done. It's not a lot of that, but it's just visits. And so I did have a couple of visits, one from an old WILL and WVIK associate, and one from a WVIK associate who was in town. And we just visited for about a half hour or so, and that went really well. So these are a few from the WILL days. And I said, if you could bring some of that YMCA pad thai. And so we're going to have a little pad thai lunch in a week. And I'm really looking forward to that. So that sounds good still. As for today, I haven't eaten anything yet. I think after this, might try a little peanut butter toast. And it seems like if I get 0 sugar lemonade and cut it about 50-50 with water, that goes down okay for hydration. I did find a way yesterday while getting my infusion of getting the Ensure protein in that they want me to. If I pour a little can of that in a cup and add a couple shots of coffee, it's not half bad. Let me try a little of that and I'm a little unsettled, but I haven't taken my nausea pill yet. So I usually take a nausea pill before each meal, wait about 15 minutes, and then it seems to work. So I think the big takeaway is we're getting the meds balanced. But the important news with that is they're balanced for now, and that could change. And so we have to keep a log of everything I'm taking. And Melissa does this very meticulously. Dole out the medication and then see how it's going, an hour, 2 hours later. See if we need to tweak something else or what it might be.
At our last episode, and when I was there, one of the things you were noting is that everything tasted bad. There wasn't any food that appealed to you, and almost everything made you feel like you wanted to throw up. So it sounds like at least we're getting away from that.
Right now, nothing appeals to me. So I'm going to just try hydrating a little bit, take an anti-nausea pill, see what happens. I don't want to put us in the category of it's inexact science, but things change. You know, we went through that with COVID. Things changed and people don't like that. They want it to be, well, this is how the science is and you're done. And they were wrong about that. COVID changed, it morphed. What worked today didn't work tomorrow. The bleach never worked. And the horse tranquil or the horse pills, whatever that was they went through was sketchy. So
hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah. So we're working on this and trying to figure out, you know, what balance is going to work when and how to get through this. I also have to grapple with what's the next breakthrough. I don't have another scan for several weeks, so we won't know if anything's actually shrunk. I think I have to hit the 5-week mark to do that. Immediate front, just looking forward to building some strength back, walking around a little bit in the backyard today, seeing if I can do a little burn pile thing. Just take it easy, build some energy back. It's important to keep the energy going because when I get lethargic, if I just want to sit on the couch all day, it just doesn't help. I'd really like to, and I have a doctor's appointment. I don't know, I have a consultation coming up. I want to talk about some physical therapy and just keep the strength up to fight this and to also feel better and be able to do things. And I'm trying not to read too much on Facebook in my pan-can support group because it's not a lot of support. It's more of, oh my God, my uncle just got diagnosed 3 weeks ago and died. I'm like, well, I'm past 3 weeks now. So
yeah, well, I was going to ask about the things that you have gotten into. Since I left, all of my energy and attention has been to putting together the media stuff that it takes for a serious YouTube show and podcast, which is what we're trying to do, not the fun, just goof around show that we were doing before, which I'd love to get back to at some point because it was fun to do.
Yeah, it was.
But I haven't done any research or looked into the support groups and things like that, and to how much we might want to ask them to participate in a program like this. What do you think?
I could put a message out and on the one that I'm in, which is pretty all-inclusive, and just say, look, I'm doing this with my brother. If it's inappropriate for me to post this here, administrator, just take it down. If you're interested in getting involved in it, contact my brother, the producer.
Yeah.
So I'm still going through cards and letters and gifts. I had to get a box out. I'm way over 150 cards, gifts, things like that.
Keep those cards and letters coming.
Yeah, and it's really great because, you know, and I've got a few friends who have sent a card every day.
Wow.
My cousin Cheryl sent me a really nice recovery blanket. I've gotten some anti-nausea, like caramel type things, and some tea from some friends down here at Lake Shelbyville. It's really supposed to help with the nausea. I have an issue getting into some of this protein shakes and things because if the idea of it made me nauseous at one point, I kind of get PTSD'd into, oh, that's not going to be good. And then I force myself to try it, and it's nothing like I thought, but I got to go through it a few times. That's a weird effect. So
it's real.
I think it's really interesting stuff that could help me, but just taking 7 pills once a day and then 5 more at night, I have to kind of slow it down and take them one at a time because it makes me nauseous. And I don't think it's the pill doing it. I think it's the thought of the pills. I think it's a PTSD type thing. I haven't read this anywhere, and I'm anxious to find something on it, but I'm also not doing a lot of reading on this. I do have some things to do. I have to go see an estate planner because I want to make sure that if the worst happens, and I'm not counting on it happening, but I can't count on it not happening, I have to make sure my pension and Social Security and 401k and insurance and everything goes to the right place. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Because I've been through that with friends and relatives who have passed away and did not have all the ducks in line before they went.
Yeah.
And even those that did, there's still a lot to do for the people who are left behind. So, and you're right, you don't want to concentrate on that. And it's unusual, as you mentioned, the folks in the support group who are not exactly in the tone of support at this point, and probably comes and goes.
Yeah, it does.
And I don't know, personally, how much to spend on rah, you got this, you're going to make it, everything is going to be great, or, oh my God, this is terrible. Probably the line is somewhere in between. How does it land on you? That's the important part.
Lands on me right now is to rectifying my pain situation and my strength. And I seem to be able to do that a couple of days at a time or a few days at a time. As far as the fatalistic aspect of it, I'm not bought into that. It's just not there for me. I realize it could be around the corner. Could be a decade away. A decade would be great. I'll be 80. That's enough, right? If I can make it 8 years, bonus. I want to play with my grandkids a bit, get a few things done here, make sure everything's set up. I mean, to be honest about it, we don't know how long either of us, Melissa or I, are supposed to live. She's been a paraplegic for, almost, we'll be coming on 57, 58 years. She's probably, in some people's minds and medically, exceeded life expectation. And then this hit me. I was supposed to be the one that lived forever. So we'll see what happens. I don't know how that's going to hit me or when it's going to hit me, but I haven't given it a lot of thought. I mean, I don't sit there at night when nothing's going on, dwelling on it. I've always been a person who lives in the present. I don't dwell on the past too much. Sometimes I do. I don't dwell on the future a lot. Sometimes I do, but I've lived my life mostly in the present. And I think that helps. I have to get through a first series of infusions and chemo treatment before I can be considered for any experimental or trial treatments. So we're working through that. I'm more convinced every time I meet with my oncologist that I've got one of the best in the business. And I'm fortunate that she's right here and very responsive, even on a Saturday. She's a very straight talker, but not without empathy, compassion. I don't know.
I wanted to mention experience that I had a long time ago.
Yeah.
We're from Chicago. Deep dish pizza is a Chicago staple food. But when I was in my early 20s, my wife and I at the time went out for a deep dish pizza, and it was delicious. And little known to me, I was just about to come down with the flu. And so the night after having the deep dish pizza, I was sick as a dog, and I was not able to look deep dish pizza in the eye for another 20 years.
That's the worst.
Yeah. So what you're experiencing with having the memory of not feeling good after taking pills or food or things like that, it certainly was a thing for me. It was a big deal. So are you doing okay? Can we go on a little bit longer, or are we wearing you out?
If you got something, we can go another 5 minutes maybe.
Okay, because we were interrupted in our discussion on the first show, the first episode, and I didn't really realize it until watching the playback, because we had just talked about how in the middle of doing our fun Jay and Gary show.
I'm Jay.
And I am Gary, and this has been
Noise.
You had come on and said that you feel bad.
I'm in pain all the time. I'm in a lot of pain right now.
Guesstimated what it might have been, what your doctors thought it might have been.
So gastroparesis is what we think this is.
Turns out it wasn't, and then we found out what it was.
1 week ago, Wednesday, I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer that has spread to my liver and some lymph nodes.
All while we were doing a fun podcast.
Yeah.
And at that point, we were interrupted by a phone call from your doctor who was going to work with you on some of the medications that you've been taking. And we didn't go back to talk about that. So in between two podcasts, you got the word that you had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And I think we did an episode of the Jay and Gary Show where you actually talked about your reaction to that. But I'd like to put it out here and see now with a little more perspective and a little more time what you feel, what you remember from hearing those words for the first time.
Well, the way I learned about it was this. I was getting a stomach ache. It was like heartburn, upper heartburn, and then lower abdomen pain a day later. And that's why we thought it might be a bad reaction to one of the type 2 diabetes drugs I was taking. So we backed off of that, said come back in a few weeks, see if it's any better. And it wasn't any better. Thought it might have been this gastroparesis. It might be gallbladder related. So he scheduled the scan to do for gallbladder. The night before I was to finally got scheduled for that, my pain was pretty bad, and my daughter and my wife urged me to go to the ER. We went to the Convenient Care Plus instead at Carle Hospital in Champaign. So they actually did a CAT scan of my lower abdomen. And the doctor came back and said, well, I have bad news. And I thought, well, how bad could it be? Gallbladder got to come out? What? She goes, you have tumors on your pancreas and your liver and in some lymph nodes. And my wife and I looked at each other, and I believe we cried a bit, held each other. And the doctor said, we got to get you in the hospital right away. So they rolled me upstairs, got me through the night with some painkillers, and then did a CAT scan of the upper abdomen the next morning. And it showed a spot in my lung and my thyroid. Turned out to be pretty much, we don't know yet. We're going to do a follow-up, but not serious, apparently. The spot on the lung was apparently some kind of a small infection that was treated with an antibiotic, and it's of no concern anymore. So we dove right into arranging for the oncologist and palliative care. Palliative care is to preserve your quality of life. It's the one that's helping work with my oncologist to get the right mixture of drugs and things in me. As I said, I still haven't really come fully face to face with the outcome of it, other than we've got to work on this right now so that I have the strength. Every doctor I've talked to noted my strength and said that would be very important, so keep it up. So that's what we've been working on. After we get through the next scan, we'll see if anything shrunk or if things are going well or what. Things are supposed to be less painful if the tumor shrinks, so we're working on that. Hello, Melissa, my love.
Hey, how's it going?
We're getting through this podcast, and I'm feeling... Well, if I started out around a 5, I don't remember what I said. I'm feeling about a 4 in pain now, so I'm got a point better while we're doing this. And it feels good out.
Indicates you should be spending more time either sitting outside or recording a podcast. I'm not sure which. Hi, Melissa. Ever stick her hand in and wave hi? There we are.
I noticed you got your polo shirt on. I should have worn mine.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to get some polo shirts made.
We can have a merch store, the Jay and Gary Pancreatic Cancer Podcast merch store.
I do like how you made the J and the P out of little pancreases.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, you still got a little sense of humor going on this.
Yeah, trying.
Awesome, man. You're doing a good job with this. Thanks for leading me through it. My creative and energetic sides are gone for right now, but you're doing a great job with it. I really appreciate it. appreciate everybody listening or watching as we tell this story, and I hope it's helpful in some form or fashion. And as we tried to say, it doesn't stick to the clinical path, because you can find that a lot of places. Maybe this is just a little more human. Maybe it's some of my friends and others who have known me a long time who are just finding out what I'm going through, and they can hear a little more detail than I'm able to repeat to them when we do meet or talk or chat. It is hard for me to do messaging and the like because of this almost dyslexia thing that's going on. Numbers get transposed. I fall asleep in the middle of a sentence and it looks like me taking notes in high school. Or the letter L comes out like 600 times and I got to go erase it all. So
to find out you fell asleep with your finger down on one key.
Yes.
Yep, I understand. I've been there, done that. After all, I'm also very old.
You are old.
Yeah, I am.
But I hope you got more than another 5 years.
Yeah, also not looking too far ahead and, worrying about that. I think that a good balance is taking care of what needs to get taken care of, but also not sitting there in a pool of pity and misery, just living your life as best you can as each day goes by.
I would like in the next 5 years or so that I may have for them to legalize a dignified and not dragged out painful passing.
Yeah, that sounds like the topic for another whole show, and maybe we'll go into that in depth.
Yeah,
because I was just
reading some of the stories on the Facebook group of what happens at the end is not good for the patient nor the relatives that are with them during hospice or whatever they're going through the last few days. Not something that I look forward to my family having to deal with, and I think we are all of the mindset, I hope, in my family that we can reconcile that if Dad is sitting there and the prognosis is just not there, if there's a glimmer of hope, I just don't need to hang on to it forever.
I visited my friend Jeff, who died of brain cancer a couple of years ago, and saw him as often as I could. I had already moved out of town, but I got back and saw him as often as I could. And the last time I saw him was a couple of days before he passed away. And I was talking to him, it's just him and me, and asked him if he was ready to go. And he said he was ready to go. And I wish there was something I could have done to help him go.
It's not easy to think about that, and I try not to, but, Melissa and I both talked about this. Don't drag it out. Just don't drag it out.
Well, as you said, there's nothing legal that you can do about that in Illinois or North Carolina, where I was. There are a few states that are experimenting with it. And
we got to look into that. I mean, see, that's a serious thought on my part. No heroics. Reasonable care, reasonable expectations are good, and I'm in it for them. But as I told all my doctors and everybody already, I'm not in it for heroics or a Hail Mary. But what's the quality of life after that?
So tell everybody that they need to like and subscribe and ring the notification bell, because that's what podcasters do, apparently.
Hey, like this, subscribe to it, ring the bell. As soon as my brother gets this edited, I will share it on my Facebook page to my 1,500 friends.
I'll share it to my 1,800 friends.
Wow.
But it's not a competition. And I don't know most of them. You know most of yours.
Well, I got 5 more years to go to catch up.
But and most of the people that you're friends with on Facebook.
Yeah, I do.
Or the 1,800 that are mine, they're people that have seen me on YouTube shows and podcasts and stuff, and I don't know who they are.
Cool.
I know a dozen of them. All right. So like and subscribe. We do have a YouTube channel that is now the Jay and Gary Pancreatic Cancer Cast YouTube channel. It's on our Facebook group, which is a public group, Jay and Gary Pancreatic Cancer Cast, and our website, Pierce Brothers Podcasting pancreatic.com.
That makes it sound a lot more efficient.
Yeah, it does. Well, that was good because now I can put both shows on the same website.
Cool.
I was a genius.
You are a genius.
Apparently. Or I made one good decision. And it is at the moment, and probably by the time this gets online, it'll be done. It has been accepted by Apple Podcasts. So if you've got Overcast or Pocket Cast or any of the cast applications on your phone, you should be able to dial it up and get us right in your ears.
Cool.
Which is better than seeing our ugly faces.
Yeah, really.
Okay. Let's
All
wrap this up.
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait.
The hair.
But wait. Oh, you got a haircut. That's right. Hang on.
Well, you had pictures of it in the last one. My daughter, part of my ponytail was falling out anyway. So
give me that profile. Oh, okay. Yeah. So has your hair started to fall out? Are you seeing clumps?
Not really. It was just one big, long, goofy strand sticking out. So my daughter was over and I said, you want to cut my hair, at least get this ponytail off? So she spent a half hour on it and just with the utility scissors out of the junk drawer. And I think she did, if I'd have gotten up and worked on it today, it would look better. But I think it's a lot easier to maintain this way. I'm looking for eats.
Yep. And on the first program, you looked like the absent-minded professor.
Well, I can still do that.
But we're not. But we're not going through a half hour of hair and makeup before we do the shows. Yeah, there you go. You're approaching bozo level there.
Oh yeah. Well, whatever's dead under the deck is stinking, so I got to get it.
That sounds like the perfect way to end a podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Jay and Gary Pancreatic I can't remember what the name of the show. The Jay and Gary Pancreatic Cancer Cast. I'm Gary Pierce.
And I'm Jay Pierce.
Over.
And out.
I don't know what we're going to call this one.
Well, if I started out around a 5, I don't remember what I said. I'm feeling about a 4 in pain now, so I'm got a point better. I got some outdoor work done.
You got outdoor work done?
Yeah, I dug another layer off where I'm going to put the swing set. And then I bundled up after the wind blew all the swing set wood around the yard. I picked all that up, picked up some limbs that the wind had blown down. And I think this afternoon I'm going to chip away at the burn pile. That's not taxing work watching a fire. So I'll get some of that burned up and cleaned up.
That is way more energy than I was anticipating.